So ito na nga, no, last time ko pa napapansin na medyo bumababa yung stocks natin ngayon. No? I'm not knowledgeable about that, pero I believe that it happens before the elections. Actually, last year pa naman. So I asked some of my friends who already knows what's happening, and this is what I got. So ito kasi yung mga nakikita nila na yung mga wala namang position sa local market sa social media gaya ng Facebook at Twitter na mga self-proclaim, no, mas nagpapanik pa kasi sa mga may hawak ng shares sa PSEI o yung tinatawag natin na Philippine Stock Exchange Index. So as you can see, nagre-readjust lang din sila ng portfolio nila, yung mga may hawak ng stocks according to the changing of the economic landscape. No? That's why tahimik lang sila. So why the stock drastically falls? There are some factors that you all have to consider about that. First is closed markets. Markets are closed due to holiday dahil sa election. So wala nagpo-pull out na investor whether foreign man yan o local investor dahil nga sarado si market. Let's make it simplified, no? Kapag may tindahan ka at nagbakasyon ka ng ilang araw at sinarado mo dahil holiday, tanong ko lang, is may benta ka ba? The answer is none. Same with the stock market. Kapag sarado, malamang walang kita. Napaka-basic naman ito. So second factor naman natin is yung pandemic na tinatawag, no? Simula pala ng pandemic, bumagsak na talaga ang kalakaran natin. Well, bumulusok lang yung pagbagsak ng ekonomiya, no? Dahil nga sa mga nangyayari global. Like for example, is yung mga conflict ng mga bansa, no? Na siya may malaking ambag sa ekonomiya natin. Like mga example, yung mga produkto, no? Gaya ng langis at kung ano-ano pa. And speaking, number 3, world conflict. Dahil sa mga quarrel ng ibang bansa na nagde-declare ng giyera, just like Palestine to Israel and Ukraine to Russia, buong mundo affected yan automatically dyan, no? Hindi lang yung palitan ng Philippine Stock Exchange whether the market is closed or not. And again, if you make some research, no, dahil nga sa tension na nangyayari between Russia and the Ukraine, marami nagpo-pull out ng mga investors. Try to research about that. Another factor about this naman is yung mga existed na global problems related naman sa stocks. May nangyayari ding krisis sa Estados Unidos ngayon na kung saan tayo nakabase ng palitan ng stocks, which is the housing market bubble that already burst. Philippine Stock Exchange is highly dependent on foreign funds, MSCI Index, PTSE Index, at iba pang international funds managers na already invested dito. So basically ba nito, if the whole market is down, ang gagawin lang ba nila is to reassess their positions and calibrate their investment strategies? Probably. Meaning they will lessen their exposures to each indices that they have stakes in to mitigate their losses in their portfolios. This is clearly not because of the Philippine election. Ano tayo special? Nag-eleksyon na, nakandeleche-leche na buong mundo. No, it's because they follow certain metrics for their allocation guidelines in each indices in every country. There's a lot more happening globally that affects in the investment decision. Hindi lang sa atin. Global markets are not depending on the Philippine market. Kasi sino lang pa tayo sa kanila? Ikaw nga na ginawa na lahat, walang halaga eh. Election pa kaya natin. Okay. Analyze more and do some research.
Baliw na baliw kayo sa research. Aanin nyo ba yung research? Ako, matalino akong tao, pero hindi ko maintindihan yung research.
So I saw a live podcast, no, of a well-known person sa internet na si Lloyd Basar regarding sa mga stocks na ganyan. And he mentioned something about this one, and this is what he said.
Maraming nagsasabi na bumagsak ang market because of BBM, blah blah blah, ganito ganyan. It's just petty to me, right? We've been talking about politics for the past how many days. Even me, I talk about it in my podcast. How is it gonna affect us? I will tell you guys, it will not affect us a lot, okay? Because the Philippines is very resilient, okay? Di basta-bastang kasi bago presidente lang bumabagsak ang economy natin, no. Especially right now, be greedy when others are weary, ready to rumble. So the complete line there is, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. What does that mean? If maraming natatakot sa market right now, that is actually the time that you should be greedy. Right now, maraming Pinoy ang natatakot sa Philippine Stock Exchange, etc. because ganito ganyan, BBM, ganito ganyan. But if you are a good investor, these are the right times to start opening up positions if you want to focus on the Philippine Stock Exchange, right? Mababa ang presyo ng Philippine Stock Exchange right now. And others are still afraid that it might go down. What you do is, you start to become greedy. If you start to see a bottom, isa sa pinakita ko sa inyo, SM, right? Si SM, right? So, ito yung position ni SM, ang baba na, di ba? Makikita nyo, downtrend si SM. But if titignan nyo po, si SM is sitting on a very, very good position. That is a support. Sa last time na bumagsak si SM at that level, we are at a price, same price kung saan nagsimula na naman umakyat si SM. So if ever matatakot ka, you're not gonna be buying this. But again, if ever everyone is fearful, that's when you start to become greedy. This is actually the best time to start buying SM. If you buy SM now, it doesn't really mean na aakyat yan at maganda ng pwesto mo. Right now, we don't know where the bottom is. It's just that it is a very cheap price for SM who had an annual earning for 2021 53% better than the 2020 earning. Meaning SM has been doing well, 50% more for the 2021 when the prices were of the stock were the same. So if you really look at it, ang ganda ng presyo ni SM. But people are afraid to get in. That's why you start dibbing in. You go for the first dibs of SM. We start to become greedy while people are afraid. Recommendation ko dito is accumulate. We don't really know for sure if this is the bottom of SM, right? But you buy some right now just in case lumipad yan. Okay, but just in case bumagsak yan, that's okay because what you do is accumulate and buy more while others are being fearful.
So paano yun na nga, no? Galing na nga mismo sa bunganga ng isang expert mismo, no? Tama na bunganga, pangat naman term ko. So coming from the words ng isang expert pagdating sa sales, no? We don't have to blame it naman sa election kasi nga, wala namang kinalaman yun. Bago para magkaroon ng election, bumababa na talaga, no? Yung palitan ng stocks natin. So huwag na tayo mag-iiyak dyan. Pati naman ako, umiyak din dito, hayo. Teka, ba't nag-echo? Actually, I'm being honest with you, no, habang ginagawa ko tong video na to, skeptical din ako kasi hindi ko naman halos alam talaga lahat ng kalakaran pagdating sa stocks, no. Although I have some knowledge, no, pero wala eh, hindi kasi yan sakop talaga na knowledge ko actually. Actually, yes, jack of all trades ako, pero hindi ko talaga alam yan.
Wala akong alam dyan. No? Puta brad, ganun kakayaman.
Kaya buti na lang, no, thankful din ako na mayroon nagturo sa akin sa mga topic na ganyan. Nang sa gayon, nagkaroon din ako na additional knowledge regarding sa sales. Well, hindi rin naman kasi si Tony Starks na isang gabi lang mamamaster ko na rin yan.
Kailan ka pa nag-expert sa sales?
Last night.
So yun, no, thankful pa rin ako, no. Thank you pala kay Kuya Neil, no. Shoutout sa'yo sa pang-enlighten sa akin.
Ano tayo kakataw ngayon, Tol?
So I hope kahit paano, no, na-enlighten din yung mga yes, kumakawa, no. Pero okay lang din. Well, there's a positive side naman, no. Since mababa ang palitan, mababa rin ang presyo ng stocks, mas madali mag-invest. Although yung sentiments ng ibang stockholders is that meron talaga mga company sa PSEI o Philippine Stock Exchange that will get the short end of their stocks of the political biases and learnings. Iba kasi sa kanila is may allegiance na sa ibang politiko. If their chosen politicians lose, then they will pull up their interest. So some of them funded these politicians, no, in exchange that they will having a very specific immunity or benefits, whether tax related man yan or other perks. Siyempre, hindi naman magbibigay yan, diba? O magpa-fund yan na walang kapalit. Well, siguro hindi na rin katakataka na yung mga ibang sumusuporta sa mga ibang politiko, natalo man o hindi, mga mapapera. Kayo nang bahala mag-isip, you know what I mean? On the other hand, there will always be an institution that will rise to the occasion. Well, I do believe if you make your own research, no? Alam natin ang mga companies na to at yung mga institution na mas makikinabang sa pagbabago ng political landscape natin ngayon. Nonetheless, choose to protect your capital, manage your own risk, at huwag tayo magpapadala sa mga emosyon. And based on some resources on exponential movement average yung tinatawag natin ng EMA, we are moving on that cross-influence natin sa harmonic. Sobrang bearish talaga ng movement. Just look at the chart and you know what I mean. And then why some Filipinos blame the election? Just because of the rumors and lack of understanding, obviously. Global kasi yung nangyayari, hindi lang naman kasi pwedeng i-isolate lang sa local elections ng Pilipinas itong nangyayari kasi according to the historical data, it takes 6 months bago ma-observe ng local market natin ang result ng elections. So kalahating taon pa bago mag-pump ang stocks natin. And also if you notice, some of markets, whether digital currencies man yun o mainstream, they're all affected at a global scale. It means actually major stocks are also affected, not just Philippine Stock Exchange. It is due to the tightening of the United States Fed monetary policy to combat inflation. And meanwhile, it's a good sign na rin, no, na the people are starting to involve themselves into analyzing the financial markets. The negative part lang naman is they're just analyzing it negatively, no, and just because of the political beliefs. Always remember that don't be too focused on what's happening locally. Let me remind you na hindi pa naman tapos sa iba't ibang conflicts sa ibang bansa, no? So if you think our local index is tanking, try to look on the other picture or bigger picture, ika nga nila, no? Dig deep and stop spreading market fears for everyone who doesn't have an idea yet or having insufficient knowledge about what's happening.
Sa mga nagsasabi na bumagsak ang market because of the politics or to be specific dahil nanalo si BBM, might be there's a touch of reality to it because maraming natatakot, etc. We don't investors doesn't really have the time to really dig deep into that. So there is that election jitters, and that is partly, right, there is a touch of truth in it. But if you look at the entire world right now, it's not just the Philippine Stock Exchange that is dropping, but it is happening in the whole world. So that will greatly refute that fact will greatly refute the theory na si BBM dahilan bakit bumagsak ang market. It's not really that significant for a market drop.
Ano?